guys, welcome to Survival Russia, welcome back to the channel. Today we are in the forest, we are at our campsite here. We are gonna do an overnighter in the snow shelter there, but I want to make a little sub video, or what we can call it, on this axe here I made, because I made an kind of a replica of the axes that the Siberian natives use. It's a very interesting axe because it's only sharpened on one side. It only has a bevel on one side, just like their knives. Here we have one of the type of knives that they use. And they of course are rounded on this side, flat on that side. And this is for a right-handed user, because if you take this side, put it down on something, yeah, then it's for a right-handed user. A left-handed user, the flat side would be on the other side, because they are very much into making shavings of all sorts of kinds. Now I made a shaving here on my new axe handle. Not so awesome, but you can see the handle here is a little bit funky. It's a sort of like square with rounded edges, and I found that very interesting, because this old-time hunter, which have been hunting and living with the Siberian natives during the 70s and 80s and whatnot, he only uses these axes here. And yeah, I tried to make one, and they actually work pretty fine. And I think we have a survival pine down here that we're gonna go down and cut with this little guy here. You can say the channel here is more and more moving over to native ways and native tools with boots and axes and whatnot. Anyway, this is like a traditional native style axe sheath, except it's made from rubber tube. But they also use rubber tube sometimes, but they make them of wood traditionally. But this is how they are secured. This is because then you can carry it on your belt, and the knot here will not undo, or what we can say, unwind itself. So what we have here is a loop, and then we can take our cordage here, wrap it in around this loop here, so it covers this side and that side, and then we can cinch it down. We just do like this and tie it on top, and it's not going anywhere. Well, here we have the funky part. I modified this old Soviet axe here to how they make their axes. You can see it's only sharpened on this side here. It's a little bit roundish, and it's completely flat over here. This is for a right-handed user. It's a little bit opposite of what their knives are, but for a right-hand user, the edge should be on the right side. I watched a very funny video with a Russian axe maker who made one of these. He was right-handed, but he put the edge on the other side. And I know from the old-timer there that they have to be on this side if you're right-handed. And yeah, he tried to defend it in a later video in many funky ways. But yeah, anyway, so I think what we're gonna do now, we're gonna need some firewood here. So I think we're gonna take our skis, head down there, and see if we can find this survival pine. I will of course put the sheath on it. It's super sharp. As I say, I sharpened it myself, I modified it. So yeah, I've removed a little bit of material here on the axe head. You can see this is how I put the wedges in. It's a classic Russian long wedge and 4 wedges on the sides, so it splits to the side, back and forwards. It's a good system. It's a very sturdy. I found my little survival tree, and the reason I call them survival trees is that they basically have everything. It's not too big, but it gets thinner and thinner, of course, and we have some small sticks up there. So the tree will basically have everything you need, and not needing to split any wood and all that good stuff if you don't have an axe. I mean, I'd rather take this one down with the axe, with the saw. But let's use the axe here. So get back to the handle real fast. You can see it's not that thick. It's still made to my specs, but it's square. And the reason they want it square is, they say when you work with the gloves or mittens or something like this, the round-handled Russian axes, as they call them, they tend to turn in the hand, right? You don't have such a good grip on them. And after trying it, I actually kind of agree. But let's see how this chisel grind works. It's basically an axe with a chisel grind, so you can only use it from one side. That means that from this side here, I will chop here. You can use it from the other side, of course, but it's not as effective. But I will start here, then I move on over on the other side of the tree and start there, and hopefully we'll be able to land the tree over there and get to work with the saw. Let's see how it goes. I think I'll try around here and we should be able to get it over there, something like that. And I'll take it a little bit easy because the old timer there, he says there's no need to be try and be super manly and put 100% into each blow with the axe. It's much better to just do 70-75% and each blow will land exactly where you want it. We can see here it bites in pretty good, but this is dry wood. It's most likely also a little bit rotten in some places. Let's see how it goes. Like here, here, here. Then we move our way down. And I'll show you later. Oh, it's not that rotten actually. Down here we try a little bit of a more direct angle, so when we move up here we get the chips to fly out. But the square handle is not uncomfortable at all. It's of course rounded. Here I'm just trying to cut in a little bit so we can flip some chips out. We're halfway through, it's flat here. That's also how they cut up their logs. They don't do like we do, or what we can say. We chop here on both sides, right? They have one flat end and one angled end, and they just cut in and down, cut in and down. I'll chop a little bit up higher here and we should be able to get it down. So we got the tree down, not too hard. But now I'm definitely gonna get over and get my saw, because dividing up a log with an axe, that is not efficient. As you can see, one of the features here is that the top part of the axe is actually, you can say, canted a little, and the lower part also. And I actually managed to make it almost perfect according to the descriptions. I know we can see it, but when you stand the axe, it should actually stand on the middle there of the bevel. I almost got it right. It should be like that. That should be ideal. So I got a little like centimeter, but it works fine. It works awesome. It's a great system, and interesting to check out how it is to work with. One reason the natives in Siberia are so happy about the chisel grind on their knives and the axes, there are of course a little bit different reasons, but they use their axes and knives a lot for woodworking. They make a lot of what do we call them, scrapings and stuff like that from meat, fish and whatnot, and of course a chisel grind is awesome for that. Here we have kind of a Siberian feather stick, but not really. It works much better as a plane than a traditional axe. They make sleds and shelters and tents and whatnot. And then we can of course make these very rough guys here, which I am not so good at making. I think that if I try to marry a Siberian native girl and her father saw me making these, he would most likely not approve of the marriage. But I'm already married, so we're not going down that path. But let's see if I can make some Siberian X feather sticks. Because I think I showed you once, that was with an ordinary Russian X or Western X. But what do? They do something like this. Not really. Break it out a little bit. The square grip here is not half bad at all. Here we kind of have it. It's not super pretty. We're gonna start a fire. I'm gonna show you how awesome they burn. They burn really great. I don't know if it goes on the camera, but out there, that's super pretty. Light blue, pink, violet, awesome colors. We are here in the morning, the day after, spending the night at minus 25 point something in the snow shelter over there. But I have not completely finished up this X here, or the handle. Because while making the handle, I found out, you can see there's a little hole there, and there's a little hole there, and another little one there. I can actually blow air through this guy here. And that's of course because there's been some kind of a little worm, but I only found out during working with the handle. So yeah, I didn't make too much of it. Some of them have a nice engravings and all that good stuff, but basically this is what the shape of the handle and head looks like. The edge here is about 30 degrees and it's a little bit convex, of course. I made all this myself, of course. I don't know if you can see the profile there. Flat on this side, and it works pretty well. I mean, we all tried when we have with our traditional Western axes, when we have been you know, trying to make some boards or whatever flat surface on a round stick, right? And it's sort of like cling, 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 slides off, and then you have to angle it, and then it sort of like bites too much and so on. With these guys here, it's a different matter, because it's basically just it's a X plane. So for advanced bushcrafting and stuff like that, if we can call it like that, woodcrafting, this is definitely the way to go. I'm not saying that these are better than our axes, but definitely for working with, they're definitely better, and they of course demand a different technique when you're felling and chopping up logs and whatnot. And as a general plane like this, it definitely works much better than an ordinary Western X. Should we call it a Russian X? That's what they call it. But the old timer there, he said, yeah, man, when I came out there and then started to work with these X's, I was thinking, damn it, man, they are not really useful there. Why the hell are they using these X's? Well, he's left-handed, right? So the natives there, Tribesman, said, listen, we need to get you a left-handed X. So they made him a left-handed X. And he used him to this day, and he's like 78 years old. He only uses this type of X. And the square handle here is super awesome for wearing gloves and mittens, that's for sure. So that's basically it, guys. So nothing much more to say than check the links in the description. Please consider supporting the channel and all that good stuff. And until next time, get out and train, get it done, do something awesome. See you in the next video, guys, which most likely gonna be the main video of this camping trip here. It was pretty interesting.